Hello and welcome to the channel again. This is Sam trying to spin to win on Zwift. Well, it's Tuesday, so we have another ZRL race for you today. It's stage 4 of season 3, a team time trial on the Wandering Flats course in Macquarie Islands. And as I mentioned before, and I will mention again, I'm not a time trial fan, but I will give it 100% today for the team because we are fighting for top spot in this ZRL league.
Gotta keep on trying, gotta keep on pushing.
I think today's course is a pretty good selection for a team time trial. It's a bit shorter, but it's twisty and then flat, and then it has a bit of a climb, the Caste Climb at the end. And the key today will be your pacing and your pacing strategy. Like I said, it's a bit shorter, so you can go a bit harder than the last time trial, and it should take about 35 minutes, give or take a few, to complete it. But what you don't want to do is go too hard, blow up, and have nothing left for the end, for the little climb, and then the push to the finish. So that will be important.
Don't do anything stupid.
No. We certainly don't want that. Nothing stupid today. But before we get into the action, I wanted to quickly bring you up to speed on the standings in the ZRL League so far. And I'm really pleased to announce that as of 3 stages, my team, Swedish Swifters Mimir, is in top spot. 1 point ahead of 2GAS and 4 points ahead of R3R. So, still all to play for with 3 races to go, but hopefully with a strong time trial today, we can still stay in the top spot or at least in the top 3. So with that, let's see how we do today. Woo!
Let's race.
Okay, time to race. As we watched the start of the race here, I quickly wanted to discuss our tactics. This time, we had made sure that everybody was warmed up properly, and we started the race with a 20 to 30 second push to get up to our race pace as soon as possible before we started our pace line. And we also had our pacing strategy down, where in my case, for example, I was supposed to do 30 seconds at the front at 389 watts. This overall strategy was pretty aggressive, but we felt that with the race taking just over 30 minutes or so, we could push the boat out a bit. More on this later. My impressions during the race was that we rode reasonably well, and that our pace line was okay. I knew we bunched up a few times, but I generally thought we rode pretty well. And as best I could tell during the race, at least, until the very end up the climb and down the slight descent afterwards, our pulls on the front were good, about the right length and power. However, I remember thinking during the race that 2GAS, which started a minute behind us, must really be pushing it as they were slowly gaining on us. And that's during the time I felt we were putting out decent power ourselves, so I was a bit surprised. However, looking back at the footage, I realized that our pace line was actually not that good. Not terrible either, mind, but not great. Something we can definitely work on. This led to a couple of problems that I will show you some examples of. And please note, I'm not trying to single anybody out here, far from it. I want to make sure that we as a team, and me in particular, learn from these mistakes for the next time we do a time trial. So here I'm just finishing my pull at the front, and as I drift back, you can see my teammates coming past me. At first it looks pretty good. However, we can see that there's all of a sudden a gap between myself and the 4th rider, before our 5th rider then closes that gap. However, because of that small gap, it caused our 5th rider to make a mini push to close it, and his injection of pace then caused me to have to push harder than I should have in order to catch on to his wheel. Then as we roll the footage, we can see that we're also quite bunched up here, and since the 5th rider and myself had pushed to catch on, we carry a bit extra speed and we bunch up the group further. Here's another example, and the subsequent consequences of this jerky paceline motion. I am again taking my pull. Now pay attention to my power chart at the bottom. Ideally, you should see me go from red when I'm on the front, down to blue or green when I catch on to the last wheel, and then my power curve should slowly build up again. But that is not what happens. First, I make a mistake where I come off the power too much, something I really need to work on during time trials. But as I drift back, I'm again looking for our fifth rider. And all of a sudden, there's a gap to the fourth rider, which then I have to push hard to close. It actually takes me a little while to close this gap, almost 25-30 seconds. And if you look at my power curve now, it's full of red and red spikes, when really it should have been much smoother with almost no red. These small mini efforts really do add up over a race. And I felt that while we did a good job doing pulls at the front, our paceline technique further back can be improved for sure. Okay, a quick jump forward to the climb, a main feature of this race. By the time we reached the climb, we were all pretty gassed. I know I was. The plan, however, was to go hard up the steeper sections and rest on the short flat sections until we got to the second part of the climb, where we would assemble the paceline again, as there was more draft to be had. However, we were a bit disorganized, and we really didn't form the paceline proper until we got to the top of the climb. We also lost one rider here, but we had agreed that this was okay as long as 4 riders were together up the climb. Looking back, Niklas on our team did a monster pull up the climb, and I probably should have helped a bit more, as I noticed I was mainly drafting. So, as we get to the top of the climb, we're all pretty cooked, and it takes us a little while to get the paceline going again, but then I think we do a decent job over the last couple of kilometers, especially as we're pretty much all at the limit. Looking back at the footage, however, and after seeing the actual final results, in hindsight, if possible, we should have pushed a bit harder here. I know we're all tired, but for myself at least, I think I could have gone a bit harder and fully emptied the tank in the last couple of kilometers, as a few seconds at the end really would have made the difference. In the end, we roll over the line, and I thought at the time we finished in third place behind 2Gas and R3R, but let's have a look at the actual results. In the end, R3R won the race, 13 seconds ahead of 2Gas in second, and 44 seconds ahead of BSCC Zwift team in third. We finished in fourth, some 48 seconds behind the winner, but crucially, only 4 seconds behind third place. Overall, reflecting on the race, I think we did pretty well today. I certainly can't fault the effort from the team, and some things like the start of the trial and the pulse at the front, I think we did better than the first time trial in this series. However, we have more work to do on our paceline as outlined by the examples in the video. And for myself, I think I should have pushed myself harder, especially at the end. I think we could have, perhaps should have, finished third today, as I think we could have done better overall, and especially once we got over the climb. But 2Gas and R3R were way too strong for us today, so chapeau to them. I think we are now in second place overall, so all still to play for in the last 2 races. Bring it on. Now just a few post-race thoughts before we wrap this one up.
Alright, post-race thoughts. I'll be quick, I promise. I always say that, but I'll try to be quick today. So, good race, good effort, in particular by R3R, who beat us by almost a minute, which is very impressive, and 2Gas, who beat us by some 30 seconds. I'm not sure if anybody else beat us today, it didn't look like it, but either way, chapeau to those 2 teams, because I didn't think we rode that badly. We kept our pacing strategy pretty well, and our pace line was decent. It wasn't perfect. We did blob up in places, but it wasn't bad. So for them to take, 30 seconds or almost a minute, that's pretty impressive. I did look at the results and they did have, 0.1, 0.2 watts per kilo average higher. So they definitely put out more power. So again, chapeau to them. Overall though, I thought we did pretty well. I could tell from Discord that the pace was at the limit for all the boys, me including. So I don't think we could have done too much more apart from polish up our technique a bit. So something to work on. We don't do that many time trials. And again, it's not my favorite discipline, but I really enjoyed it today. What a great over-under type effort practice session for 35 minutes. Man, really good training. So we'll leave it at that. Hopefully we'll come back stronger next week. And I also have a club ladder race in 2 days, which I'm looking forward to. I haven't done one of those. So hopefully you can tune in for that one. That video will come out in a few days. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, learned a few things, or learned a few things that you shouldn't do. That could very well be the case. Either way, this is Sam, trying to spin to win on Zwift, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.